Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh Shai, Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh Shai, Wah Ha Rakah Kadash. Double honors to the apostles and the teachers at Great Millstone who teach this truth in sincerity and who rule well, and to the ones who teach the likewise doctrine. Peace and blessings to the hopeful elect. Today's lesson is on Zechariah, the first chapter, the last few verses. So more so zeroing in, focusing in on verses 19, 20, and 21. I just looked up a couple words, more so the word carpenter from verse 20, and I looked up the word fray. But without any further ado, we're just going to get into this. So once again, this is Zechariah chapter 1, verse 19. And I said unto the angel that talked with me, what be these? And he answered me, these are the horns which have scattered Judah, Israel, and Jerusalem. And the Lord showed me 4 carpenters. Then said I, what come these to do? And he spake, saying, these are the horns which have scattered Judah, so that no man did lift up his head. But these are come to fray them, to cast out the horns of the Gentiles, which lift up their horn over the land of Judah to scatter it. All right. So like I had before mentioned that I looked up the word carpenter. So let me just go back into that verse where that word had occurred. Verse 20. And the Lord showed me 4 carpenters. So what these carpenters? Then said I, what come these to do? And he spake, saying, these are the horns which have scattered Judah, so that no man lift up his head. But these are come to fray them, to cast out the horns of the Gentiles. All right. So I looked at this word carpenter in the Strong's Concordance, and it gave me Hebrews number 2796, karash, and that word is fabricator of any material, an artificer, a craftsman, a carpenter, excuse me, an engraver, a maker, a mason, a skillful smith. And its root word is the same from karash, but it's a different word. But it's the root word, okay? And it's to scratch, engrave, plow, to devise in a bad sense, from the idea of secrecy, to be silent, to be deaf, dumb. And we talking about dumb in the sense of cannot speak, cannot hear, okay? To conceal, to practice secretly, skillful in destroying. All right, so there's a lot of words of Greek inflections that came from that word karash. So I just clicked on a few of them, and it led me to these words, okay, of Greek inflections of the same word karash in the Hebrew, okay? Excuse me. Allergy season, okay? So my first one I looked up was Greek 71, Greek number 71. I go, okay, and I got the definition is 1E. To lead away, to court of justice, magistrate, to lead direct. Okay, but I'm saying all of these words. What am I really trying to get? What these carpenters are, okay? Because we're going to say an artificer, okay? An artificer, okay? Then we have this word ago, to lead away, to court of justice, magistrate. That's the 1E definition of that word. And then I have the 2A definition of that word, to lead, direct. So lead and direct, okay? And then the other one, the inflection, is to lead away to court of justice, magistrate. So this is about justice, all right? Then we have another one, which is Hamar Talak. Hamar Talak. And this is Greek word 268. So I'm still talking about the same root word, karash, Hebrew root word, but this is what it gave me in the Greek for words that are similar, used in that sense, okay? Just so we don't get lost. So Hamar Talak, Greek word 268, and I apologize if I'm not saying it or pronouncing it correctly, you know. A sinner, sinful, all wicked men, okay? I have this another word, G3618, oikodomeo, and this is the 1B definition of oikodomeo: to restore by building, repair, establish, okay? So this is about justice, remember? And it's about an establishment. That's what these carpenters do, okay? They establish justice, all right? And here's the 2B of the oikodomeo: figuratively promote growth in Christian wisdom to edify, all right? And Christians are only, the true Christians can only be Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, all right? Not anybody could be a Christian, because Christ just means anointed, and the only ones that are anointed first and foremost is Yahushua, you feel me? Which people ignorantly call Jesus Christ, but his saints, which are the Israelites, the bloodline Israelites, can only be the anointed, in which in that time under the Roman Empire, in the time where Yahushua was actually walking the earth as himself, or in that body, you know, before the crucifixion, before that time, excuse me, I'm just looking at my notes. Okay, in that time, after the crucifixion, people would call themselves Christians or Hamashiachim, because I don't know. I think the Chris goes back into the Latin or the Greek. I'm not sure, but Hamashiach, what is the Hebrew for savior, okay? Then there's Hawashai, which means he saves, okay? Yahushai means he saves or he delivers, okay? Hamashiach means like the anointed one, okay? All right. So, you know, but my whole point is only those people can be Christians. So we're gonna dodge this word Christian, and we're going to put Israelites in there, because that's what it truly means, all right? I got hung up on that one a little too long. But anyway, back to this Greek word 3618, oikodomeo, 1B definition: to restore by building, repair, establish, okay? 2B definition: figuratively promote growth in Hamashiachim, wisdom, and to edify, okay? And edification is all about building, all right? And we're still talking about these carpenters. That's who we're talking about. The breakdown of this word carpenter in verse 20 of Zechariah 1, all right? Now I looked up a couple more words, and I got the Greek 5045 tectone, a worker in wood, a carpenter. The 2A definition, the art of poetry, maker of songs, and author. All right, let's see who was a maker of songs and an author. All right, let's go to Psalms 96, because this one kind of stuck out. When I was reading this it kind of reminded me of this. All right, so I'm just gonna briefly go to Psalms 96. It's not a long chapter, and we're just gonna get the whole thing. All right, Psalms 96, starting at 1. Sing unto the Lord a new song. Sing unto the Lord all the earth. All right, and what's this new song? This new song is this true doctrine going out over the face of the earth in the latter times, okay? In the end times. This is the end times. And this is that new song, okay? This is not that Christian doctrine that the world is so used to hearing, you know, and white Jesus, you feel me? And everybody could just get along. This is a new doctrine. That's why it says sing a new song. And because new things are going to occur on this earth, that's going to have the true people singing new songs, okay? Verse 2, sing unto the Lord, bless his name. Show forth his salvation from day to day. Declare his glory among the heathen, his wonders among all people, okay? And what is these wonders? These wonders is going to come through these carpenters, all right? You know, now he has many wonders, but these are the wonders, all right? That's going to bring forth many wondrous things, all right? Okay, for the Lord is great and greatly to be praised. He is to be feared above all gods. For all the gods of the nations are idols, but the Lord made the heavens. Honor and majesty are before him. Strength and beauty are in his sanctuary. Give unto the Lord, O ye kindreds of the people. Give unto the Lord glory and strength. No, that's why we say Kal Halal Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahweh Shai. Kal is all, Halal is praises, and then we got Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahweh Shai. Moving on, verse 8, give unto the Lord the glory due unto his name. Bring an offering and come into his courts. Didn't we just read about the courts? All right, these courts, dragging people in the courts about these carpenters, all right? Oh, worship the Lord in the beauty of holiness. Fear before him all the earth. Say among the heathen that the Lord reigneth. The world also shall be established, that it shall not be moved. He shall judge the people righteously. All right, so what we say about these carpenters? They come to bring a judgment, all right? And justice, all right? So verse 10 again, say among the heathen that the Lord reigneth. The world also shall be established, that it shall not be moved. He shall judge the people righteously. Let the heavens rejoice, and let the earth be glad. Let the sea roar, and the fullness thereof. Let the field be joyful, and all that is therein. Then shall all the trees of the wood rejoice before the Lord, for he cometh to judge the earth. He shall judge the world with righteousness, and the people with his truth. All right, and that's what's gonna happen, and that's what these four carpenters, you know, that's what these four carpenters are, in a sense, come to do, you know, as a wondrous work of the Lord. Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahweh Shai. So moving on, you know, going back into this word carpenter, I just wanted to hit that script in that Psalm 96. I wanted to get into that, but now I'm going back to this word carpenter, all right? Going back to this word 5045 5045. Tectone, a worker in wood, a carpenter. 2A, the art of poetry, maker of songs. So the maker of songs, we just went into Psalms, and Psalms is a song. Who wrote these? David. Who was the root of David? Yahweh Shai. Or Yahweh Shai comes from the stem of David, okay? From the root of Jesse, all right? But still is our Lord. So this is about that. This is about that David, that Davidic, them Psalms coming through, okay? We singing new songs, okay? We saying amongst the heathen, okay? We bringing them in the courts. Those are all the things that these four carpenters in these inflected words in the Greek and the Hebrew describe. Also, right along with it, some of the verses that we read in Psalm 96, because these is what these four carpenters come to do. All right, moving on. And an author, okay, that was the last definition for that G5045 tectone. Now here we got the Hebrews. Went back to the Hebrews 6:22, which has something to do with, remember, our root word karash. And this is once again Hebrew 6:22. Asaph, together and take away, remove with, draw, together harvest. Oh, remove or to withdraw, remove or to draw. Excuse me. To gather harvest, to take in, receive into, reward, to be taken away, perish. So these carpenters come to do a multitude of things, okay? These carpenters come to do a multitude of things. So let me actually go back to Zechariah, the first chapter. And I have moved my marker, so Salakian, bear with me. All right. So going back to verse 21, then said I, what come these to do? And he spake, saying, these are the horns which have scattered Judah, so that no man did lift up his head. But these are come to fray them, to cast out the horns of the Gentiles, which lift up their horn over the land of Judah, to scatter it. Now, I looked up this word fray in verse 21 because these carpenters have come to fray these horns that have lifted up their head over Judah, okay, and Israel, and scattered them. So got this word fray, and it was karad, and that's the Hebrews 27:29, okay, and it means to tremble, to quake, of a mountain, people, or rout an army, okay? To tremble or quake of a mountain, people, to root an army. All right. So what are these four carpenters? So these four carpenters come to tremble. They come to quake. You know, when it's talking about of a mountain. So a mountain is synonymous with a government, okay? And of a people, okay? And rout out an army. So what can do all of this? All right, I'm probably going backwards, but I'm gonna hit this one. Let me see. Let me get into this for a second. All right, this is Obadiah 1:9, because we just said mountain, I kind of had this saved for one of my later verses, but this is This lesson is not meant to be too long. I'm just going to bring out a few scriptures. All right, so this is Obadiah 1 and 9, all right? And thy mighty men, O Teman, shall be dismayed, to the end that every one of the mount of Esau may be cut off by slaughter. Okay? For thy violence, this verse 10, for thy violence against thy brother Jacob, shame shall cover thee, and thou shalt be cut off forever. All right? So, the mount of Esau, remember we're talking about those horns in Zechariah that helped scatter Judah and Israel, okay? So the mount of Esau is one of those horns. And when we go into the word horn, I didn't write this down, but I looked it up, but I forgot which Hebrew word it goes into. And the Hebrew word for horn is kedin, and it could symbolize power. It could symbolize a power, okay? Or some type of horns coming out of the hand or the head, okay? The head. So when we talking about the head, we talking about the heads of a power, the heads of a nation, all right? And I'm for sure that it's, I know power, Kedin, all right? So that was talking about the horns, but when we go, the horns in Zechariah 1, but this, you know, the mount of Esau, and thy mighty men, O Teman, this Obadiah 1 and 9. Again, and thy mighty men, O Teman, shall be dismayed, to the end that every one of the mount of Esau may be cut off by slaughter. For thy violence against thy brother Jacob, shame shall cover thee, and thou shalt be cut off forever. All right. Okay, let me hit verse 20 in the same, and the captivity of his host of the children of Israel shall possess that of the Canaanites, even unto Zarephath, and the captivity of Jerusalem, which is in Shephar, shall possess the cities of the south, and Savior shall come up on the mount of Zion to judge the mount of Esau, and the kingdom shall be the Lord. So this is what also we read about in Psalms 96, okay? About the judgment, okay? And singing this new song, okay? And the judgment of the heathen in the latter time, okay? Because that's when we will actually, Israel, the Latinos, Native Americans, and the Negroes will actually have rest and get to sing upon their bed, and they will be bought back from their captivities. But going back to Zechariah chapter 1, you know, we got these, we're gonna go back into that word carpenter, karash, fabricator of any material, an artificer, a craftsman, a carpenter, an engraver, a maker, a mason, a skillful to do what? Skillful to destroy, okay? Smith, okay? And it's coming from, remember, it's karash. That Hebrew, the root word 2790. To scratch, engrave, plow, to devise in a bad sense, from the idea of secrecy, to be silent, okay? So what's moving in silence, okay? And in secrecy, okay? The secret counsel of the wicked in Psalms 83. The secret counsel of the wicked, and even in there, we could find some of these horns, all right? Even if you go into there, it has a list of nations, and those are some of the horns, some of the powers that help pluck up and scatter Judah and Israel. Also, the horns in, I want to say, the book of Daniel, those four beasts, okay? Go into those four beasts, those four superpowers that ruled the world that also put us into captivity, you know. But we're right now we're talking about these horns that help scatter us in our that help put us into the captivity that we are in now by way of the Atlantic slave trade, okay? The transatlantic slave trade, Salakian. Okay, and we're just going to go back into some of these root words of this word. Carpenter, karash, fabricator, and artificer. And even as I say that, let me hit Isaiah 54. So this is Isaiah 54. I'm going to start at 6. For the Lord hath called thee as a woman forsaken and grieved in the spirit, and a wife of youth when thou hast refused, said thy God. For a small moment have I forsaken thee, but with great mercies will I gather thee. In a little wrath I hid my face from thee for a moment. But with everlasting kindness will I have mercy on thee, saith the Lord thy Redeemer. For this is as the waters of Noah unto me. Okay, for the waters of Noah unto me. For as I have sworn that the waters of Noah should no more go over the earth, so have I sworn that I would not be wroth with thee nor rebuke thee. For the mountains shall depart, and the hills be removed, but my kindness shall not depart from thee, neither shall the covenant of my peace be removed, saith the Lord, Yahweh Bashem Yahushua, that hath mercy on us. O thou afflicted, tossed with tempest, and not comforted, behold, I will lay thy stones with fair colors and thy foundations with sapphires. Okay, and this is talking about the kingdom of heaven right here. And I will make thy windows of agates, and thy gates of carbuncles, and thy borders of pleasant stones. And all thy children shall be taught of the Lord, and great shall be the peace of thy children. In righteousness thou shalt be established, thou shalt be far from oppression, for thou shalt not fear it, and from terror, for it shall not come near thee. Behold, they shall surely gather together, but not by me. Whosoever shall gather together against thee shall fall for thy sake. Behold, I have created the smith that bloweth the coals in the fire, and that bringeth forth an instrument for his work, and I have created the waster to destroy. Okay? No weapon that is formed against thee shall prosper, and every tongue that shall rise against thee in judgment thou shalt condemn. This is the heritage of the servants of the Lord, and their righteousness is of me, saith the Lord. Okay, so this goes together with what we read in Psalm 96 and some of the points that we hit in Obadiah and what we 19 through 21 in Zechariah. Okay, Zechariah 1 about these horns that had spread us, okay, and the coming of the kingdom of heaven. But let's pinpoint on this verse 16 in Isaiah 54. Behold, I have created the smith that bloweth the coals in the fire, and that bringeth forth an instrument for his work. And I have created the waster to destroy. Okay, so what is this? These four carpenters come with this destruction. I have created the waster to destroy, and I have created the smith that bloweth the coals in the fire. Okay, so what is a smith? A smith is a blacksmith. Okay, and like going back to Zechariah 1, so that Hebrew word, okay, karash for carpenter is artificer, craftsman. Okay, a smith. Okay, secrecy, to be silent, is death. And we're talking about these wasters that come to destroy. How are they deaf? Because they're iron, okay? And it was done in secrecy, okay? This is a weapon of mass destruction. All right, we're talking about ICBM missiles, intercontinental ballistic missiles that will come and make things right, that will even the odds from the injustices done to you Negro, Latino, and Native American, okay? All right. Upon these horns, okay? Just how we go back to, I keep taking off my marker for Zechariah, and that's what I'm studying, doing this lesson on. So, one moment, let me get back onto my bearings. You know, because in verse 21, it's talking about the carpenters have been sent to fray those horns. And when we went back to that word, fray was karad. It means to tremble, to make them quake, of a mountain, of a people, a root out an army. And we read that in Obadiah, the mountain of Esau, okay? Because Esau, the Edomite, is the so-called white people, the Caucasian people, okay? The Caucasian people of today who rule over the world, okay? And their secrecy is this New World Order Illuminati banker, you know, these elite bankers, these 1 to 3%, but we're talking about the whole house, okay? We're talking about the people as a whole will be wasted, because from the highest Edomite to the lowest ranking Edomite in the world, they still I'm trying to think of that word. You know, they still benefit from all of the labor and the slave labor that goes on in this society and had went on in this society of Jake, you know, off the blood, sweat, and tears of the Israelite people, okay? So these carpenters have come to get vengeance, justice, okay? So let's hit Revelation 21. Actually, I was in Zechariah, and I was just gonna reiterate some of these. So before I even hit Revelation, let me reiterate this in Zechariah 1, start at 19. And I said unto the angel that talked with me, what be these? And he answered me, these are the horns which have scattered Judah, Israel, and Jerusalem. And the Lord showed me 4 carpenters. Then said I, what come these to do? And he spake, saying, these are the horns which have scattered Judah, so that no man did lift up his head. But these are come to fray them, all right, to make them quake, all right, because we just went into that word, karad, is the word fray, karad, to tremble, to quake, of a mountain, of a people, to rout an army, okay? And what comes with armies? What comes with military might? Bombs, missiles, destruction, okay? So, okay, but these are come to fray them, to cast out the horns of the Gentiles, which lift up their horns over the land of Judah, to scatter it. All right, let me hit this Revelation 21. And 1 through 8. And I saw a new heaven and a new earth, for the first heaven and the first earth were passed away, and there was no more sea. And I, John, saw the holy city, New Jerusalem, coming down from power out of heaven, prepared as a bride adorned for her husband. And I heard a great voice out of heaven saying, Behold, the tabernacle of God is with them, and he will dwell with them. So the tabernacle of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai is with them, and he will dwell with them, and they shall be his people, and power himself shall be with him, and be their power. And God shall wipe away all tears from their eyes, and there shall be no more death, neither sorrow nor crying, neither shall there be any more pain, for the former things are passed away. And he that sat upon the throne said, Behold, I make all things new. And he said unto me, Write, for these words are true and faithful. And he said unto me, It is done. I am Alpha and Omega, and beginning and the end. I will give unto him that is athirst of the fountains of the water of life freely. He that overcometh shall inherit all things, and I will be his power, and he shall be my son. Okay? So, let's focus in on, go back to verse 1. And I saw a new heaven and a new earth, for the first heaven and the first earth were passed away, and there was no more sea. All right. And how did that no more sea come to be about? And that how did the first earth pass away? Because of that destruction. All right. That destruction. But that ain't, I wanted that one, but let me try to see. It's another one I wanted in Revelation. So bear with me one moment. I'm trying to get this one. I think it's something on. All right, Salakia, one moment. I'm trying to get that one that I really wanted in Revelation. That's gonna see. Okay. Because we're still talking about this. I wanted to get into these four carpenters, okay? Okay, so this is Revelation chapter 7, starting at 1. And these things I saw 4 angels standing on the 4 corners of the earth, holding the 4 winds of the earth, that the wind should not blow on the earth, nor on the sea, nor any tree. All right, so when these 4 angels are holding back the winds, okay, but only for a time, for when they come to get busy. All right, and these winds are that destruction. Okay, these carpenters. Why is there 4 angels? Because these 4 angels are also the 4 carpenters. All right, and they hold back the destruction until it is a certain time. They hold back this destruction until a certain time. Okay, and we're talking about nuclear decimation, that type of destruction. And when it's time, that's when these carpenters, they start getting busy. Okay, they come to destroy. All right. All right, so just like we go back to that word carpenter, that word carpenter in Zechariah 1, karash, a fabricator, a material, an artificer, a craftsman, okay? So the spirit of the Lord is in these, because with these carpenters come this destruction, okay? But that's the destruction of one kingdom and the building up of another kingdom, okay? And that's the destruction of the Mount of Esau, which is who they call the white man, okay? And the building up of the coming kingdom of Yahushua, all right? Which his people are the Israelites, okay? So that's just going to be a flip side of everything. And that's why when we go back to this word carpenter, karash, all right, it's talking about one of these Greek inflections of that same word is ago. Greek 71. The 1E definition: to lead away to court of justice, a magistrate. To lead, direct, okay? And when we talking about to lead and direct, we're talking about for justice, but what's also come with this destruction, we're talking about guided missiles, okay? Guided missiles. Missiles that have coordinates set to them so they can hit their targets, okay? And we talking about their target is America, all right? A lot of their targets is gonna be America, and that's what's coming with this destruction, all right? That's what's coming in with the bringing in of these 4 carpenters, okay? So we have it on the left hand and the right hand side. We gotta have this destruction of the old so we could bring in the new coming kingdom of heaven under a righteous regime, okay? All right. And just like, see, even the Lord Yahushua was, his job was a carpenter. His occupation before he entered into the ministry was a carpenter. So the bringing in, that's even synonymous with the building up of Jerusalem and the bringing in of a new kingdom, all right? So let's hit Matthew 13. I just kind of want to hit these precepts that I had. Matthew 13, chapter 20, Salaki, verse 24. That's where I'm going to start. Matthew. Okay, Matthew 13, chapter 24. Another parable put he forth unto them, saying, the kingdom of heaven is likened unto a man which sowed good seed in his field. But while man slept, his enemy came and sowed tares among the wheat, and went his way. But when the blade was sprung up and brought forth fruit, then appeared the tares also. So the servants of the householder came and said unto him, Sir, didst not thou sow good seed in thy field? From whence that then hath it tares? He said unto them, An enemy hath done this. The servant said unto him, Wilt thou then that we go and gather them up? But he said, No, nay, lest while ye gather up the tares, ye root up also the wheat with them. Let both grow together until harvest, and in the time of harvest I will say to the reapers, gather ye together together first the tares, and bind them in bundles to burn them, but gather the wheat into my barn. Okay, so that's why when we go into this word Hebrew, we talking about this word carpenter, okay? This Hebrew word carpenter in Zechariah 1, we also have as in inflection the Hebrew word asaf, okay? And that is together, to take away, to remove, to withdraw, to gather harvest, to take in, receive into, reward, to be taken away, to perish, okay? Because the bad seed is going to be burned, the tares, okay? And the good seed, the wheat, is going to be gathered, okay? And this is talking about the bringing down of Esau's kingdom, because which we went into in Obadiah. The mount of Esau is going to be burned, okay? And we're talking about what with these 4 carpenters, okay? These 4 carpenters bring in a kingdom and bring down a kingdom. So to bring in a new kingdom, you must bring down an old kingdom, all right? All right, so let me get Ezekiel 17. Let me get Ezekiel 7. Ezekiel 17. Yeah, let me get Ezekiel 17. Let me get Ezekiel 17. I had Ezekiel. Wanted to get Ezekiel 38 also. But let me get Ezekiel 17 and 24. Bear with me. Salaki in one moment. Alright, so this is Ezekiel 17 in verse 24. And all the trees of the field shall know that I, the Lord, have brought down the high tree, have exalted the low tree, have dried up the green tree, and have made the dry tree to flourish. I, the Lord, have spoken and have done it. And who is the high tree right now? The Mount of Esau, okay? Because we are not in our kingdom right now. We are subject to the Edomites, okay? When we say the Edomites, we're talking about the people of the Caucasian sort, all right? Because for the most part, that's who has dominion over the earth right now, okay? All right, so once again, and all the trees of the field shall know that I, the Lord, have brought down the high tree, have exalted the low tree. And who's the lowest trees right now? Because when we're talking about trees, we're talking about peoples, okay? Peoples as far as races, okay? So who was the low tree? Who was the lowest of the hierarchy? You know we're the highest on the totem pole of the hierarchy, but who is the lowest, okay, in this society? Who's looked down upon the most, okay? The Negro, the Latino, and the Native Americans, okay? Natives of the Americas, the West Indians, okay? All right. So going back to, actually, I'm not going to go back to Zechariah 1. We kind of already hit that a few times, but we're going to go back to it in a minute, but let me get this Ezekiel 37. Okay. I kind of want to hit a few points in this chapter. I don't have them wrote down, but we're going to proceed. So I'm going to start at 1. The hand of the Lord was upon me and carried me into the spirit, the spirit of the Lord, and set me down in the midst of the valley, which was full of bones, and caused me to pass by them round about. And behold, there were every man, Salakim. I wanted Ezekiel 38, not 37. So I'm going to start Ezekiel 38. And the word of the Lord came unto me, saying, Son of man, set thy face against Gog. But this Ezekiel 37 was about blacks, Latinos, and Native Americans waking up to be the true children of Israel, the true children of the Bible. So that's what Ezekiel 37 speaks about. But we're going to hit Ezekiel 38, all right? And the word of the Lord came unto me, saying, Son of man, set thy face against Gog, the land of Magog, the chief prince of Meshech and Tubal, and prophesy against it, and say, Thus saith the Lord God, Behold, I am against thee, O Gog, the chief prince of Meshech and Tubal, and I will turn thee back and put hooks into thy jaws, and I will bring thee forth in all thine armies, horses and horsemen, all of them clothed with all sorts of armor, even a great company with bucklers and shields, all of them handling swords. Persia, Ethiopia, and Libya with them, all of them with shields and helmet. Okay, so when we go into this Gog and Magog, okay, this is the land of Russia. And why do they have Libya and Ethiopia and Persia? Because those are their allies even today. Their allies are Iran, okay, Ethiopia, some of those North African countries, okay. Uh, okay, there, let's read down. Gomer and all his bands, the house of Tagomar of the north quarters, and all his bands, and many people with thee. All right. Be thou prepared and prepared for thyself, thou and all thy company that are assembled unto thee, and be thou a guard unto them. How are they a guard unto them? We're talking about Gog and Magog is a guard unto the nations mentioned. Some of them Ethiopia, Persia, Libya, okay, because they are their allies, okay. And even right now we can see Russia supplies a lot of these smaller nations with arms, okay. They supply them with arms and they be a guard unto them, okay. After many, verse 8, after many days thou shalt be visited, in the latter years thou shalt come into the land that is bought back from the sword, and is gathered out of many people against the mountains of Israel, which have been always waste, but is brought forth out of the nations, and they should deal safely, all of them, okay. I kind of want to jump down. So I don't have to read the whole chapter. But more so, anyway, that was more so the point I wanted to get at, okay? The Lord is gonna put jaws, hooks into these people's jaws to make them come up with this device, okay? That's gonna bring in the kingdom of heaven, okay? Which really is just guided by the Spirit of the Lord. That's all it is. But the Lord put it in these devils' hearts to devise these instruments, okay, that's going to end and put down this power structure that we see now and bring in the kingdom of heaven, okay. Let me hit I think I got one more or two more. Got one more. This Isaiah 14. Gonna start at 1. For the Lord will have mercy on Jacob, and will yet choose Israel, and set them in their own land, and a stranger shall be joined with them, and they shall cleave to the house of Jacob, and the people shall take them and bring them to their place, and the house of Israel shall possess them in the land of the Lord for servants and handmaids, and they shall take them captives, whose captives they were, and they shall rule over their oppressors. And it shall come to pass in the day that the Lord shall give thee rest from thy sorrow, and from thy fear, and from the hard bondage wherein thou was made to serve, that thou shalt take up this proverb against the king of Babylon, and say, how hath the oppressor ceased? The golden city ceased. Okay? Because these 4 carpenters are gonna bring that in. And I did another video about the 4 beasts in Revelation 4 being indicative or representative of these 4 heads. Each of these going back to that Revelation 7, those 4 angels are those 4 beasts in Revelation 4, I believe it is. Okay, let me actually get to there. Revelation 4, Salakia, bear with me while I get to Revelation. Well, all the way. Let me get to Revelation about these 4 beasts, because one had the head of one beast had the head of an ox, which is representative of the tribe of Ephraim, which would be their flag. One had the head of a lion, which we all know is Judah. Okay. One had the head of a man, which I had went into that, and that was signified Reuben. Okay, then the northern standard was Dan. Okay, and we know Dan is not mentioned as being part of the 144,000, but we do know part of his blessing was to, you know, roughly paraphrasing, judge the nations of Israel as one of the nations. You know, I could be wording that wrong, but you know, it's just a rough paraphrase. All right. So these 4 carpenters also, just like I was getting into these 4 beasts, are with the 24 wings, because each has 6 wings apiece, going into those 24 elders and a government system. Okay, so this government system headed by these 4 are